Hi there! Today I'll be showing you how to back up the Microsoft Windows system. Assay's Windows system captures a complete snapshot of your entire hard drives on your Windows machine. It includes everything on the drives, the Windows operating system, system settings, installed programs, and all files. It has everything you need to restore your computer to the exact state it was in at the time of the backup. It's very useful if your hard drive fails, your system becomes corrupted, or you're a victim of a ransomware attack. Therefore, it can be used for a bare metal recovery of servers, PCs, or notebooks running the Windows operating system. The other benefits of a Windows system backup are that users can use the Windows image to perform different types or levels of data recovery. You can recover volumes, files and folders, and even the Windows system state for recovery of the Active Directory for a domain controller. It can be a useful tool for other purposes. Migration to new hardware. A Windows system image backup allows you to migrate your system to another machine with similar hardware. Hard disk migration. If you're upgrading to a new hard disk, a system image simplifies the process. Now let's head over to my screen and get started. To start, double-click on the AhsayOBM icon from the Windows desktop. Log into your account. After logging into AhsayOBM, click on the Backup Sets tile. Click on the plus sign to add a new backup set. Let's change the name to Windows System Backup and select the backup set type to MS Windows System Backup, with the temporary location set to the D drive. The temporary storage location is required to temporarily store the image file generated during the backup job. Ensure the temporary storage location has adequate free space to accommodate the Windows System image file. Typically, the file size of a Windows System image is roughly equivalent to the total used disk space on the drives that you have selected for backup. For optimal backup efficiency, it is recommended to configure the temporary storage location on a local drive due to the large size of the generated image file. For my example, all of my files are also stored on the C drive. I will select the C drive as the backup source. Then on the lower part, make sure that Include All Critical Volumes is checked. This is very important as it will ensure that Windows System Backup can be used for full system recovery or bare metal recovery. Click Next to continue. Select the switch to turn on Scheduled Backup. A scheduled backup will automatically back up the files and folders you have selected based on the frequency and time you set it on. This is very important as a regular scheduled backup will minimize data loss, ensuring you can always recover the most updated version of your files. Click the plus sign to create a new backup schedule. As this machine does not have a separate file backup job setup, and we will be relying on the Windows System Backup to safeguard our files, it is advisable to create a daily backup schedule. As regular scheduled backups serve to minimize data loss, ensuring that you can always recover the most up-to-date versions of your files. However, if you are planning or have already configured a daily file backup on this machine, you might consider adjusting the Windows System Backup schedule to run on a weekly basis. You can use the default schedule name Daily 1, but for our example, we'll use a more descriptive name, Daily Backup at 20. For this example, this setting is considered as the normal backup schedule, setting a certain time as to when the backup job will run. On the other hand, when you add a new backup schedule and change at to every, this is called periodic backup schedule. A periodic backup schedule will automatically back up your data every 1 minute up to every 12 hours, depending on the interval you will select. Although due to the size of a Windows System backup, short periodic backup intervals may not be possible or practical. On this part, the default setting is until full backup completed, which means the backup job will only stop running when all selected files or folders or any subsequent changes are completely backed up, regardless of how long it takes. Let me change the schedule type from daily to monthly to show you the other option, which is after, that will stop the backup job after a certain number from 1 to 24 hours, even if the backup of your files or folders are not yet complete. For the run retention policy after backup setting, the best practice is to have it enabled. With this setting turned on, AhsayOBM will permanently delete files and folders in the retention area that have exceeded the retention period to better manage the backup storage quota after each backup job. Now let me put it back to our normal backup schedule. For the backup destination, our strategy involves utilizing two different locations, Ahsay Drive and a local network drive. This approach combines the security of an offsite copy with the convenience of local accessibility. Given that Windows system backups tend to be very large, maintaining a copy of the backup data on a network drive locally offers a distinct advantage. In the event of restoration, this configuration allows for quick recovery via the local area network, as opposed to relying solely on a relatively slower cloud-based recovery over the internet. We'll set the backup mode to concurrent since it is recommended as we are selecting more than one storage destination. To allow AhsayOBM to back up your data to both destinations simultaneously, this approach helps reduce the overall backup time, which minimizes any performance impact to the backup machine. The default destination storage, Ahsay Drive, will be selected, and then the network drive. Click on Test to verify if AhsayOBM is able to access the network drive so it can add or update data during backups. Then, click OK to continue. For data encryption, we will use the default setting because it is the most secure option as it uses AES 256-bit encryption technology and a randomly generated encryption key made up of 44 alphanumeric characters. Once you have selected the encryption settings and your backup set is created, it cannot be changed afterwards. If you need to change the encryption settings, then a new backup set must be created and your data will have to be backed up again from the start. Click Next to continue. It is important to make a copy of your encryption key. The backup data can only be accessed or decrypted by a user with the correct encryption key. Click Confirm to continue. Now on Windows User Authentication, input your password. AhsayOBM utilizes Windows User Authentication login credentials to ensure it has adequate permissions for accessing various components on the backup machine. These include the temporary folder location and the backup destination, whether it's a local drive or a network drive, accessible from the backup machine via LAN. The Windows User Authentication login credentials must have the necessary permissions to access network resources. Once the backup set is created successfully, the following message will be displayed. You can start the backup job right away by clicking Backup Now, or wait for the scheduled backup to start. Let's click Close and go back to the Backup Sets page. Now, we'll look at the other important settings for this backup set, such as deduplication, retention policy, temporary directory, and compression settings. The duplication is enabled by default. It removes all duplicate data blocks from your backup. The default settings are the optimal settings for deduplication and will result in up to 50% savings in storage space and costs for file backups. It will also reduce network bandwidth usage and will allow for faster backups. The retention policy determines how long these deleted or modified files or folders are stored in the retention area before they are permanently removed. Every time AhsayOBM runs a backup job, any previously backed up files or folders that are subsequently modified or deleted on the destination are moved to the retention area where they can still be restored. There are two retention policy options on AhsayOBM. One is simple, where the retained files are removed after a specified number of days or backup jobs. For retention policy, by default, it's selected on simple and the deleted files are kept for 7 days. While the other is advanced. where you can add multiple policies to keep the most recent versions than older versions, or be able to recover the older versions of deleted or modified files and/or folders. Click the plus sign to add advanced retention policies or see more of the advanced retention policy. You can change the default retention policy name, but you can also use the default name provided. You can choose the different types based on how you would like the different versions of your files to be retained. An advanced retention policy offers more flexibility and control in managing older versions of deleted or modified files or folders. It will maximize the scope of your data recovery while minimizing storage usage and costs. While for simple retention policy, simply increasing the duration will increase the likelihood of recovering older versions of deleted or modified files or folders. However, this will also increase the storage required, which means higher storage costs. For our example, we'll use the default retention policy, which is simple and with a duration of 7 days. Next, click Others, and you'll see the temporary directory and compression settings. For the temporary directory, the default location is on the C drive, where the Windows operating system is also installed. You might want to change this and select another local drive. For this example, we'll select the local D drive. Click the temp folder that we created, then click OK. This is the best practice, as using the C drive might cause the machine to crash if the C drive were to run out of space. As in some cases, a large number of temporary files may be created during backup and restore. A network drive should not be used either, as this could affect the backup and restore performance. The Remove Temporary Files After Backup is enabled by default in order to keep the temporary drive clear. The next setting is compressions. Data compression serves two purposes: enhancing backup performance, reducing storage space and storage costs. There are 4 compression types available: no compression, normal, fast, and fast with optimization for local. This compression type, fast with optimization for local, is selected by default as it balances data compression speed, compression ratio, and CPU usage efficiently. The compression settings can be changed anytime. If the compression type is changed, the new setting will take effect on the next backup job. Let's close this window by clicking Save. Now let's start the backup. From the AhsayOBM home screen, select the backup tile. Click the backup set that you have created. Here are the backup options that will show. Since this is the first backup job, no data exists in the retention area. So, we can unselect Run Retention Policy after backup. However, it should be enabled in future backups. Then, click on Backup. This is how the backup will look like, since the backup mode is concurrent. It may take a few hours depending on the size of your Windows system image file. The backup is now completed successfully for Microsoft Windows system. With Ahsay, your data is fully protected. Armed with the latest technology like immutable backups, where your backup data will never be encrypted, deleted, or modified. For total protection against hackers and ransomware, strong AES 256-bit data encryption ensures that your data is encrypted during transit and when your data is stored. Two-factor authentication is also present to prevent anyone from accessing your data without your permission. Multi-destination backups also store your backup data in more than one storage destination and across many geographical regions for maximum protection against natural disasters, fire, or conflict. Lastly, data deduplication is a feature that removes duplicate copies of data that helps you save up to 90% of your storage space, with significant savings on data storage costs as well as much faster backups. That's why you should choose Ahsay. your data is safe with us.